Hey, welcome back to the Ernest P YouTube channel. I'm Ernest, and we've got two emergency callouts this morning. Both sound like they might be wheel bearings, so I've went ahead and picked up brake kits for both vehicles and wheel bearings because both customers are stating they're getting like a whining, humming noise from the front of the vehicle. So most likely wheel bearing, but again, could be brakes. I'd rather just get them all done at once and not have to go out there, come back, get some brake kits, and go back out, because both people live reasonably far from an AutoZone or an auto parts store to make me want to do that. So we've got all the stuff, and we just got up to our first job. We've got the wheel bearing and brakes. We're going to go ahead and jack the vehicle up and check for that wheel bearing. I did take it on a test drive, and I am fairly certain it's that wheel bearing. You can just hear humming in the front right side of the vehicle. So we'll get it jacked up safely, and we'll test that wheel bearing and see if we don't have to replace that. So let's go. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm making a YouTube video if you don't mind. You can, I said I'm making a YouTube video if you don't mind me filming your car. Okay. I'm just gonna walk around the truck real quick and then I'll go up there and work on it. But you're allowed to stick around. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing, so. Okay. All right, I appreciate that.
If it's not that bearing, what could it be? It'd have to be in the drivetrain.
Yeah, it may be something like axle. I'd expect it to shake more under acceleration if it was an axle. That noise particularly doesn't sound like brakes, but sometimes if you get that whining, it could be some old brakes. But it sounds like that wheel bearing to me. I'm gonna jack it up and get it looked at. So. All right, so we just got it jacked up. There's a bit of play in the wheel, if you can't see that. So it does have some suspension issues as well. I'll bring up to them, nothing super critical. Rusty old suspension components that are kind of clacking when we go over bumps. But that wheel bearing does look like it's going out, and definitely sounded like it. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this wheel off, pull the brake assembly off, and we'll get that new wheel bearing thrown in there. So we'll go ahead and just time lapse that. And that is the first one for today, and we'll have another one here after this. Alright, so here we are. We just got the old piece out. The little ABS sensor stayed behind, but I was able to just put a wrench behind there and pry it out. There's one concerning issue here, and that is that this whole lip is kind of rusted away. Let's see that. Yeah, so if you can see this recessed part here, it's not supposed to be quite so recessed. So I'm gonna clean that up and just double check everything. If it fits fine, then we'll go ahead and put it in there. If not, then we may have to schedule replacing this whole knuckle here. But it looks like it may fit. I'm gonna put it in, check and see if everything's tight. It may not be that big of a deal, but again, if it is, we'll let you know. Again, this stayed behind. I just put a wrench behind here and pried it out. So the new one will go in just like the old one came out, which you might have seen with a bit of force. The new one doesn't have to go in with force, but it'll go back in that same hole, which we'll want to get cleaned up and put a little bit of anti-seize around there. So in the future, these are pretty prone to having issues. If it has to be replaced, it will not be quite so difficult to get out. So we'll go ahead and throw it back together. Okay, I've just noticed here on that recessed part, it is for the ABS sensor. I didn't notice that on the other side, which we've done the other wheel bearing before on this vehicle. So no big deal. That is obviously supposed to be recessed for this portion of the ABS sensor that sticks out. So we'll go ahead and put it in there with some anti-seize and get it sealed up. And it looks like it's good to go. All right, there we are. It's all back together. No more playing that wheel. So that's awesome. Should sound a lot better when it's driving. We'll go ahead and let her down, get packed up, and we'll get on to the next one, which is probably a wheel bearing as well. So go ahead and pack her up. So we just got here. We're waiting on the customer to arrive. She has to travel this afternoon. She said her front right side is making a weird grinding, squeaking noise. So I'm thinking with the squeaking description, it may be brakes or it may be a wheel bearing. So I've got both. Hopefully it's one of the two. I mean, it could be something else, but probably not as likely. So she'll be here just any minute, and we'll get that looked at, diagnosed, and replaced. Again, she's traveling this afternoon, so she wants that fixed before she has to travel. And so more of an emergency for her. And to make the diagnosis more worth her while, we're going to go ahead and replace her oil as well. So we'll do an oil change. And while we're doing that, we'll pick up that right side and look and see what may be causing that noise. And we'll get that replaced and fixed up. So that should be it for today. After that one's done, we'll be done. Hopefully, that way we can get some other stuff done. If we get another emergency call out, then we'll do it. But if not, we'll take care of this one, and we'll wrap it up with that. So let's get looking at that car. All right, so here I am back home. That last job turned out to be nothing really. She said she had a lot of noise when they were driving down to a lake to go fishing on a dirt road, and it scared her because she had her window down and she could hear it. But then she got a car wash and hasn't heard the noise since. So could have got a little more information, but we were heading up there anyways to do that oil change and just group them together. And for peace of mind's sakes, I guess we got to look at it because she seems to stay on top of her vehicle maintenance. If anything ever starts to go out, she's pretty good at just getting it done. So this time didn't need anything. Those wheel bearings felt fine. I jacked the tires up, no movement. In neutral, spinning those wheels around, you couldn't hear anything. Everything looked fine, and I couldn't get the problem to replicate, and she hasn't heard it since the car wash anyway. So we just did the oil change, didn't even get any footage of that. It was just a quick oil change, and now we're back. So that was it. Nothing too interesting, but you know, good to give her peace of mind and keep her on the road. So this is the Ernest P YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. As always, have a good day and peace out.